Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of the Burley Nathan Show. I am your host and MC for the next hour, Burley Nathan. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of my show. I have loved getting comments and shares and whatnot for this show and hearing from amazing folks like yourself who are listening and letting me know what you really think about the show. It's been so much fun to do a solo podcast. You know, I've been in podcasting for quite some time and I've never really had like my own solo devoted show. I've done other shows here and there, but this is one that I'm able to like talk to my friends and talk about topics that mean a lot to us. And this is such a great experience and I thank all of you for listening. One of the greatest ways that you can support my show is by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing on all the major podcast platforms. So iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Music, I think that's a thing, I don't know. Amazon, you can actually ask your Alexa to play the show, and it will. Follow anywhere you listen to podcasts, leave a review, and let us know what you think of the show. It would mean a lot to me. Another way you can support the show is by going over to adamandeve.com and using promo code BURLEY when you go buy things. Now, adamandeve.com is an adult store. You can go there and buy awesome adult things for you and your partner. You can make it, you can buy gag gifts for friends, whatever you want to do, but just know it's of the adult nature. Head to adamandeve.com, buy whatever you want, and you use promo code BURLEY, B-U-R-L-Y, like me and my name, and you'll get 50% off your first item there. You'll get free shipping, you'll get 10 free gifts. I believe 3 of them are adult videos, and then you're also going to get some like little trinkets and whatnot from Adam and Eve. Awesome stuff. I was very surprised. I actually used the promo code recently, and I'm not going to tell you what I got because that's private, but the gifts that I got were awesome as well. So go to adamandeve.com, use promo code BURLEY, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout. And just go there. It helps support the show. A portion of the proceeds from every order goes directly into this show. So we can bring on more guests, we can get cooler equipment, and eventually down the line, we're going to do this show via video. So helps us invest in the show and shows that you support it. So once again, adamandeve.com, use promo code BURLEY, B-U-R-L-Y at checkout. I always love to hear from my listeners to see what they're interested in hearing. So if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Burley Nathan, let me know who you want me to interview and I'll do my best to get them in the studio. We're not only gonna, I know we've had a lot of folks in the burlesque and theater industry, but we will be branching out very soon into some other industries and bringing on guests of varying skill sets and backgrounds. And if there's somebody who you think we should talk to and bring on the show, just let me know. Send me over their information. I would be happy to get in touch with them and bring them on the show. But yeah, we're doing our best to keep this very lighthearted and fun, comedy, lifestyle, music, sex. I lost my train of thought after I said that. But yeah, just listening in and having fun is the goal for this show. Today will be absolutely no different. I'm so excited for my guest. The guest that I have coming in a little while is my great friend, Ruby Tesla. She and I have done shows together for a long time. She was on a podcast I used to produce way back in the day. And we'll talk a little bit about that during the interview, I am sure. But she has some awesome things that she's going to be telling you about and some exclusive first announcements for some of her projects that she was waiting to announce until she came onto the show. So keep listening and you will hear what those amazing announcements are. Trust me, they are really awesome. And if you are a fan of my show and the shows that I've put on, you will also become a fan of hers. She is amazing and I cannot wait for you to hear it. Coming up on episode 13, which is the next show, I'll be interviewing my great friend, Miss Magenta Magic. She's an Orlando-based performer, and we've worked together a few times, and she's awesome. So make sure to tune in and listen to episode 13. A few little housekeeping things that I want to bring up. First of all, some shows that you can come see me in live on stage. Starting on Tuesday, June 11th, you can catch me at the James Museum of Western and Wildlife Art. Yes, you heard that right. I'm doing a show at a Western and Wildlife Art Museum. Now, I will tell you, this place is incredible. I visited not that long ago, and I was blown away by the stuff that they have there. Get your tickets. It's in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm doing a show called Out on the Range, which is a Broadway cabaret that is themed around country western music. I'll be taking some great songs from Broadway and turning them into country songs. It's a ton of fun. I'll be joined by my great friend Jessica, who you might know as Poppy Bubbles, my very first guest I ever had on the show. She'll be joining me on stage for that show. Just come on out. It's a great time. It's $10. You can buy tickets at the door. You can buy them in advance. It's just a great time. And you'll also get admission to the museum at the same time. So you can listen to my goofy butt sing for a little while and then go look at some amazing Western and wildlife art. directly after that, I am so excited. I was chosen to be a performer for the St. Pete Pride Friday night concert happening on Friday, June 21st of this year at Janus Live in downtown St. Pete. Sasha Colby is the headliner for this event, and I'm one of the openers, which is really cool. Sasha Colby was the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. So I will be opening as a part of the group that is opening for her. So I get a little set of my own, and you can come listen to me sing, and I have some really fun, interesting surprises for you during that show. So come on out, St. Pete Pride's Friday night concert, Friday, June 21st. Finally, on Saturday, July 13th, I will be doing my birthday roast and live band burlesque show at Aspirations Winery in Clearwater, Florida. This is going to be so much fun. I've always wanted to be roasted for my birthday, and this is going to be a ton of fun. We'll actually be hosted by our friend Poppy Bubbles, and we have some great roasters, some great burlesque performers, and it will be for a live band. Tickets are a suggested donation of $20, and all proceeds go towards Aspirations Winery's remodel of our back room. We want to turn the back room at Aspirations Winery into the premier showplace for burlesque and live music locally. So all proceeds from this event will go towards enhancing that back room so we can make it into something extraordinary, which I know we will. And I just big shout out to Bill at Aspirations Winery. They actually just launched their online store. So head to aspirationswinery.com and click on the store tab in the very top, and you can buy some amazing wine. Bill has turned me into a wine person. I cannot believe it. I was thinking about it last night. I'm like, oh my God, if you could even go back in time 3 months and tell me that I would be into wine, I would not believe you. But guess what? I am. Aspirations Winery is so great. Go check them out and buy stuff from their online store. So yeah, Saturday, July 13th is the Burley Nathan birthday roast and burlesque show. Get your tickets now at aspirationswinery.com/roast. Also, I wanted to mention August 9 through 18 at 8 o'clock Theater in Largo, Florida. I will be performing alongside Taryn, actually, in the musical called Title of Show. Yes, that is the name of the show. It's a show about two guys writing a musical about two guys writing a musical. It's so much fun. Taryn and I were actually, we performed in the Tampa Bay premiere of this show back in 2011. Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. I'm so glad that we get to relive it again. So get your tickets now. You can go to largoarts.com, look for 8 o'clock Theater's production of Title of Show running August 9 through 18 of 2024. All right, everybody, we have reached the part of the episode where I bring in our guest. Now, I teased it in the last show, and I'm super excited to have one of my longtime friends, collaborators. We have been on many a podcast together, and we'll probably talk about that in a little bit as well. My great friend, Ruby Tesla. How are you today, my dear?
Hey, Nathan, I am good. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for being here. You know, when I came up with this podcast originally, you were always on my list because of our history doing fun podcasty things together. And for those of you who don't know, way back in the day, I say way back, it was like, what, 2 or 3 years ago we stopped doing it?
It was like 2020, 2021.
During
so yeah,
COVID time.
3 to 4. Mm-hmm.
We were on, I produced a sex podcast, and it actually is still floating around out there. I may not announce it now. You watch my socials, I might talk about it there, but we did we were a part of a sex podcast. You were on a few episodes of it right towards the very end and had guested a few other times too. And
I think I co-hosted the last maybe like 10 to 15 episodes of the run. And it was so much fun. I actually miss those days sometimes.
Me too.
I love working with you, and this feels very familiar. It feels like going back home a little bit.
Right, exactly. I mean, we had great chemistry there. You and I are big about just saying what's on our minds and not really having not giving a shit about that. By the way, once again, folks, we do curse on the show, and right before we started, Ruby's like, "Can I be dirty?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, that's allowed." That's allowed to happen here. So, but yeah, no.
I mean, I figured it probably didn't even need to be asked because it's you, but I always was like, wait, let me make sure. I've only listened to a little bit of this show so far. I haven't gotten a chance to get caught up. So I'm like, wait, let me make sure.
Yeah, no, you are great. And that's great podcast etiquette to ask. And I always do that too. Before I've guested on a few podcasts recently, and I'm like, can I say things? Because my sailor mouth will just do it, and I won't even think about it. But yeah, it's great. So anyway, for our guests who do not know who you are, tell us a little bit about you.
All about me. My name is Ruby Tesla. I am a burlesque entertainer and burlesque show producer. I also am a freelance graphic designer and video editor and video producer, and I do OnlyFans, and I'm kind of for hire for whenever somebody needs a weirdo to show up at a thing and I don't know, make people feel weird. That's me.
You know, a good weirdo to show up to a thing is exactly what the world needs more of. And that's why, like, like, we've always, you and I have related a ton because we do a lot of the same stuff. And I love when a performer is super well rounded because you do all of these things. You do all of your own promotions, you do all of your own videos and reels and all of that. And your stuff looks great. How long have you
Thank
been
you.
doing that? Did you start that at the same time that you started burlesque and entertainment, or like has it been your whole life sort of thing?
Media production in some form or another has pretty much been my entire adult career. Like, I went to film school. I got my, well, I didn't quite get my degree, but I almost got my degree in cinema studies. And I went right into working as a full-time video editor. Did that for a really long time for a couple of different companies. I worked for a tech company shooting video for a few years. And this all kind of ran concurrent to adult entertainment pretty much. Like, I webcammed in college. I made short films with my friends. It's kind of like dual passions, I'd say.
Right.
Before this year, I was working full time as a graphic designer for about the last year. But now I'm just fully freelance on everything. So
that's great, because I know you
trying
took
to
that big leap into doing and being super self-employed and doing all that. How's that been going for you so far?
It's been going well. I mean, it's really stressful,
Yeah.
but it's also really fulfilling. I work like 3 times as much as I did when I had a full-time job. For a while, I was even working 2 full-time jobs, and I was still not working as much as I am now, just working for myself. And,
Hustle.
Time will tell if this life is truly sustainable long term, but I'm feeling really good about it so far.
Yeah.
I think as soon as maybe this isn't true in all cases. Maybe this isn't even true for me. Maybe I'm living in a fantasy world. But I do feel like when you fully commit to something, something that you're passionate about, it kind of just opens you up to opportunities. And I don't mean it in like a woo-woo way, because I'm not really that kind of person. But no judgment if you are. That's
right.
People have all different kind of belief systems. But I've always been like a very kind of practical, skeptic atheist. And so I've never been one to be like, talk about manifesting or anything, but I do think that there is something to just your mind being in the right place and not being clouded up and not getting in your own way of potential opportunities. I've had like a lot of really great opportunities kind of just materialize in the last few weeks, and it's like, wow, this is something shifted, something changed.
That's great. I mean, I love that. And I love when people are able to take their passions and make that their full-time thing. And I know there's also a delicate balance that you have to play with that too, because when your passions become technically your livelihood, the burnout can be a thing. And I've experienced that quite a bit and have had to like reevaluate myself in certain ways. What do you do to kind of make sure that that doesn't happen?
I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
That's something I really need to work on, honestly. Like, I'm pretty bad at taking a day off. But I really like to work out, and I don't make time for that enough. So that's something that really helps, I think. Like, I think the best, the best kind of day off for me would be like a really hard workout first thing in the morning, and then like a nap, and spend the rest of the day playing video games. That's like a perfect day to me. Like a perfect day off.
Right. I think, you know what, that's actually, I might actually literally do that this weekend. And now that you say that, I even was thinking, I'm like, I should just have a chill, relax day, self-care day. That is awesome. And that is a great way to diffuse and just step away from things for a few minutes and just make it all about you. No, that's great. I love that. That is amazing.
I recommend it.
Yeah, highly recommend it. All right, so what I want to do, this is what I do with all of my guests when I bring them on, is I just ask them some rapid fire questions to kind of get the ball rolling so people can learn a little bit more about you and know what makes you tick. So the first questions that I'm going to ask you, because obviously you are, how long have you been doing burlesque and live theater?
I started burlesque in 2013, so almost 11 years ago. I've been doing theater since I was a kid. Like, I was, the first role I ever did on stage was First Witch in Macbeth when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7.
You were 6 or 7 in Macbeth? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and I still remember almost all my lines.
Wow.
I can still recite almost all the witches' parts in that play.
That's
crazy. Because I took it so seriously. Maybe I was young. Maybe I was like 8 or 9. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Wow. But I was young.
Single digits in Macbeth. I got to give you credit for that, because holy shit, that's great. I love that. Okay, so longtime performer for all that. You started in burlesque in 2013. Funny enough, when I first got into burlesque, actually a show that you were in was one of the very first ones that I came to to see the business, because obviously, you know, you did a lot of shows here in the Tampa Bay area, and I think one of the
I
first
didn't know
shows,
that.
yeah, I think one of the very first shows that I saw when I started working with Maven, that's how I got into it. And she's like, come see this show I'm doing. It's a naughty Disney style show at the Iberian Rooster, and this was probably like 2015, 16, around there. And
Hmm.
I came and you were performing. I'm pretty sure you were doing the Ursula act for that. I'm pretty sure.
Ursula is the only Disney act I've ever done, so it was
Yeah,
Ursula.
because I remember it was you. Maven did it. I think Candy was in that one too. It was just like an all-star lineup of performers in that. And that's when I was like, yeah, because she's like, come on out and see if you like it. If you like burlesque and you want to do, you know, help me do some shows, come see this. And I saw it and I'm like, hell yeah. And then all of you guys became literally my favorite performers. So that is
Oh,
great.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the first time I worked with you was for that Broadway show that we did at Iberian Rooster.
Oh yes.
And I didn't realize that you had seen me before, but
Oh yeah.
I remember I went to your house to rehearse, and I got to do Over the Moon from
Mm-hmm.
Rent with live accompaniment, and I was a little anxious because I was like, you know, this is a weird fucking song. It has weird timing.
Yeah.
I've never worked with these people before. I don't know if they're gonna get it, but you got it. Obviously you're a theater person, you
Right.
know, you get it.
And I will admit,
And
when you had brought that song up to do and it was put into the set list, I will admit the band was like, okay, because that's not the first thing, the Over the Moon song. And if you guys aren't familiar with that from Rent, go listen to it. It's kind of hard to explain, but just go listen to Over the Moon from Rent and you'll know why.
Maureen is insufferable.
Right.
Like it's
and we were
it's
thinking,
a totally indulgent, like hipsterier than thou thing, but I love it.
it was great. And we thought about it and we're like, how is she? Because obviously, you know, a lot of us hadn't worked with you at that point yet. And we're like, how is she going to do this? And then you came to the house for the rehearsal and we went, oh, that's how. Okay. And then we were convinced. And I remember Taryn being like, that was amazing. It was hilarious. And it was perfect. And there's video still floating around. I think it's probably on both of our Instagrams if they follow it and look. But yeah, that was so much fun. And we did that. When we did that, it was actually the only Broadway burlesque I've ever done, which is surprising. I think
we should bring it back.
Oh, we should. And that's actually been something on my docket here to try to bring back. So we will chat.
Not to drop any big bombshells.
Right. Well, we've got a few of those today, so folks, tune in because there's some bombshells we'll be dropping in a little bit. But yeah, no, that was a great experience. And then we had done many other shows after that. You were actually in one of our classic burlesque series performances at the Palladium Theater. I think you were in Volume 2. That was the one I believe that Matt
sounds right.
Yeah, and you know, so we worked together a ton. When it comes to doing these types of burlesque shows, do you have like you're like something that you aim to do the most? Is it do you like to just do classic? Do you like to mostly do like cosplay characters? Like, what is your go-to when it comes to your favorite types of burlesque performances?
It really shifts over time. I do a little bit of everything. I would say my main focus right now is mostly classic, and that's kind of just an economic thing because most of the shows down here are classic shows. I live in South Florida, so most of the shows that, you know, pay my bills are classic burlesque. But I used to produce a theater series of themed nerdlesque shows. So back when I was producing those shows, I was doing a lot more nerdlesque because I just had more opportunities to bring those on stage and make money off of them. I miss Nerdlesque, honestly. I'm actually doing Tolkien It Off in Jacksonville in a couple of weeks, and I'm so excited because I've only really gotten to do Nerdlesque like once or twice a year for the last couple of years, and that's a show that I co-founded like 9 years ago with Kissa Von Adams, and I am making a new act for that one.
Yeah, I was curious what you planned on doing.
Radagast.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I'm bringing back Radagast. That's always going to be around, but I'm also doing a new one, which I think I'm not going to reveal what character I'm doing. I think I'm going to make it a surprise.
Make it a surprise. I love it. Please do. Yes, and that show.
I'm excited about that.
Anytime that show comes up, I know it. People absolutely fucking love it, and I love seeing the photos from it. And I wish I could come to see it, but yeah, it's great, and it's such an interesting theme, and people are all about it.
It's been really rewarding to see how that show has grown and evolved over the years and found new audiences. And it's something that I'm really proud to be a part of.
That's great. I mean, and when you see a show evolve, and I know you've produced quite a few, that, you know, over time you're like, okay, you make little fixes in between each performance and each time that it runs until you create that secret formula that always works. Is there any like tips that you could give producers, people? Because I know you actually just taught a class, not necessarily on producing, but how to become bookable. How did that go, by the way?
I actually have taught both. I just taught a class about like So the How to Get Booked class was all about sort of all of the sort of skills that are on the periphery of burlesque. Like, I have seen a lot of performers who are really, really amazing on stage, but just don't know how to communicate with producers, or maybe they don't have good web presence, they have inconsistent marketing or whatever, and all of these things affect whether or not you'll get bookings. And I really want talented people to have opportunities to be on stage.
Right.
So that's what that class is all about. It went really, really well. I've gotten excellent feedback. But I actually did teach a class on producing last month too. That was, I don't remember what I called it, but it was just like how to be a good producer, and that was also awesome. It's all about all the kind of skills I've learned producing shows over the years, and how to pay people fairly, how to not screw yourself out of getting paid as a producer, how to kind of manage your audience's expectations, all those kind of things.
That's great.
So
And
yeah,
it's good for
teaching
performers
is
to
something
know
I've
that.
really enjoyed doing lately.
That's great. I mean, and
I'm sorry?
the more of that, the better. The more that we have educated performers and producers. I mean, that's the goal here, because we want great shows across the board. So like, I am all for
Yeah.
that. And I had friends that actually went to your courses, and they said they love it. So
Yay.
that's awesome. So when it comes to what you have coming up, let's we can start.
Mhm.
Let's dig into that a little bit. So let's tell these folks how they could go and see you and what you have coming up show wise.
Yeah, definitely. So I have a lot of shows going on right now. I have my monthly show at the Library Speakeasy here in Lake Worth, Florida. It's a really fun, really intimate kind of show. It's like a little room in the back of this restaurant that they have like a little speakeasy set up. The next one of those is on June 8th, and that's going to be with me, Giselle Ardente, Kevin Dixon, and Curly Q. Um, I actually have a pretty big announcement. I have two pretty big announcements for upcoming shows. One of those is, I'm so excited about this. I have wanted to do this event again for years, and I'm going to be at Exotica Miami all 3 days of the event. Um, Exotica Miami, it's an adult like porn convention, and it happens all over the country. And I performed there like literally 10 years ago, back when I like first started burlesque. And then I haven't been back in a long time, just because it hasn't worked out with my schedule or whatever. But I'm so excited. I'm going to be there this year. I'm going to have a booth on the convention floor the entire weekend. I'm performing all 3 days. On the Saturday and Sunday, I'm bringing on a few other performers to do like a little kind of mini show at the convention too.
Nice.
So
That's
gonna be great.
awesome. That is so cool. Hell yeah. And that'll be a great group of people to be around too for that sort of show.
Yeah, and I haven't announced yet who's performing with me, but I'll be announcing that soon. So
Gotcha. So folks can follow you on the
um,
socials to see who those people are going to be.
yeah. And then the other really big one. So I used to produce this big theater show at a venue down here called the Kelsey Theater, and it was so great. It was so much fun. I did maybe 5 shows a year for them. And that venue got sold in 2020, and then a little bit later it ended up shutting down completely. So I haven't really had like a home for my big sort of theatrical elaborate productions. And I just signed the contract yesterday for a brand new show at the Lake Worth Playhouse,
Nice.
which is a beautiful 100-year-old historic theater right here in downtown Lake Worth. It's a 300-seat theater. I'm like, I've been trying to do a show there for literally like years. And I did a musical there back in 2013, 2012,
Yeah.
maybe, before I started burlesque. It's normally a community theater. They have a regular musical season, and then they offer it for rental for special events. But I've never seen a burlesque show there. The theater used to be a burlesque vaudeville theater back in the day,
That's
and then
great.
it went through. It's a really, I don't have like a timeline of stuff written out to tell you like officially, but it has a really rich history of being shut down for like indecency. I think that they were showing porno movies there in
Ooh.
the 60s, and then the doors were closed for a really long time, and then back in, I think, the late 80s, early 90s, it got revived as a community theater with a musical season. But it feels so cool to be doing burlesque in this venue that is part of that history, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
That
It's
is
gonna
so
be
cool. I actually just pulled up, because I was just curious. I just pulled up their season. It says that they're in their 72nd season. They're doing School of Rock, The Prom, Brighton Beach Memoirs, Sound of Music, The Play That Goes Wrong, and the producer. Okay, well, all right. I got to come by and
Come down.
take
You
a
can
look.
always crash with me if you want to come
Hell
to a
yeah.
show. Like
Hell yeah.
I literally live like a quarter mile from that theater.
That's
so
amazing. The place
we
looks
can walk
so cool. All right. That is fuck yeah. That's amazing. And when will this show be happening that you're producing there?
The show's happening on August 24th, and this is the first place I'm announcing it. I don't have tickets live yet or anything. Hopefully, like by next week or so, we'll have them. But yeah, August 24th is the show.
I am literally putting this in the calendar right now because I want to
Yes.
come. I'm doing a 2-week run of a show right before that, and so that'll be actually a fun little vacation to take right after that show's done.
I
That's
love
amazing.
that idea.
Hell yeah, that's so cool. Well, I'm so happy for you. And what do you want to get into specifics about what the show is going to be, or do you want to leave that a surprise for a little bit?
It's going to be a classic show. So the theater also has a little black box theater that's kind of attached to it called the Stone's Eck. And funny enough, the very first burlesque show I ever produced back in 2013 was at the Stone's Eck.
Nice.
And so it's kind of come full circle. And we called that show Burlesque on the Avenue. So I think I'm going to call this show Burlesque on the Avenue just to kind of honor that.
That's so cool.
That origin story.
That's amazing.
And so yeah, it'll be classic burlesque. I want it to be a very larger than life show, so it's a nice big stage. It's a good chance for people to bring out their biggest costumes, props, maybe some group numbers. I still have a lot of work to do to figure out exactly what's going into it, but I have some very cool ideas.
Fuck yeah, I'm so happy for you on that. That's so cool. There's nothing like, there really is nothing like a big theater classic burlesque show. Like, there is really nothing like it, and I'm so glad that you have the opportunity to do it. Damn, I love it. All right, so I'm going to get into a few more questions that I'd like to ask some of our guests as well, now that we've talked about a little bit of your history in burlesque. This is one that I ask everybody. What is the most outrageous costume malfunction that you have ever experienced on stage?
That's a good question. I mean, I've had my merkin fall off before. Not completely. I was able to like catch it, but that's when I stopped wearing merkins. If you don't know what a merkin is, it's like, imagine underwear but without any side straps. So it's like a piece that just sticks onto your crotch. And I got a sweaty pussy, I guess. So
it took away the stick. You heard it right here, folks. You heard it right here. You were dropping a lot of truths today. I love it. All right, that is amazing.
So now, there's nothing like I build it off of a C string,
taking away the stickiness of a merkin.
But
that's great.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. So another one that you had. I've said this question before, and it's ridiculous, but I think you would probably have an answer for this. If burlesque had its own Olympics, what event would you dominate, and what would your signature move be?
Ooh. What event would I dominate? And what would my
apparently the sweaty pussy event you would be phenomenal at.
I guess so, but I don't think that I'm the sweatiest pussy in the world. I'm
probably
sure there
not.
are sweatier ones.
Depends on the climate.
That is a tough question.
Yeah, if you want, we can come back to it if you want to think about it.
We might need to come back to that one.
All right, we'll come back to that one. That one's one I throw out there. Okay, so so let's see. Okay, so what is the strangest interaction? And this is gonna be strange, good, bad, whatever. What is the strangest interaction that you have ever had with an audience member before or after a show?
So this has happened a couple of different times. And that's somebody trying to tuck a dollar bill into my pasty when I'm going around for tips after my performance. Because I'm like, how do you think this works, my guy? Like, it's stuck on there.
It's magnets, of course.
Yeah, it must be magnets. Like, my nipple is not a pocket. I don't understand how you think this is going to work. And it's like, I think it's just drunk person logic. It usually happens at like more alcohol-fueled type shows.
Right. Yeah, I've seen people try to do that, and obviously, as folks should know, if you are a burlesque patron, do not touch the performers. And I honestly hate when a performer's walking around with a bucket. Put the fucking money in there. Like, I mean, or if they have some sort of receptacle to collect their dollars, don't try to be cute and put it in their straps unless they tell you it's allowed. But like I get super like meh when people try to do that. And if I'm hosting a show and I see somebody reach for that, I'm like, yep, they got the bucket. Put them in there. Yep. Like,
yep.
People,
totally agree. I will say I've come around to, I've not been as sensitive to that as I used to be. For me, it's more about whether they get permission first. you know. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you're kind of like holding it out and sort of asking with your eyes, is this okay? And I'll give you like a little nod, and then you can tuck it in my bra or my panties or whatever. You know, if you're being cool about it, I'm fine with that. But li- literally, all it takes is just a yes or a no. Okay, put it in the bucket. You know, the weirdest thing is I have had guys. It's usually, well, it's not always guys. Sometimes it's women who do this too. But you know, people try to smack your ass, especially because I have a really big ass. People like to smack it, and people are generally better than they used to be about that. I think just culturally,
Right.
people have kind of learned a little bit about don't touch strangers without permission, even if they're naked. But I've had it a few times lately where somebody has asked, "Can I please smack your ass?" And I say no, and they get so upset. Like
They see the ass, they're like, I really want to. But hey, at least they're
they
asking, and that's the first step.
and well, they think that because they were so kind to bother to ask that they are entitled to a smack, and
Right.
it's like the answer is no.
Yeah.
But thank you for not just doing it, but also that's the bare minimum. It's not a thing I should have to thank you for.
Right. I mean, yeah, we should not have to thank somebody for consent like that. Yeah, that's wild. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some both sides of this where during a show somebody's touched somebody inappropriately and then we have to escort them out the building. I've seen the full gamut. I've seen performers that encourage people to touch them, which has been interesting, and I've seen that in different spots too. But hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
I know, at least, as you know, and you know this too, the job of an MC is to make sure that that sort of stuff is very articulated at the very beginning of the show, so folks know to not do that. And obviously things can be different each time.
I would say this is a bigger problem at shows that don't have an MC,
Right.
which is a decent number of shows. Like we do a few different weekly brunch shows down here, and the format is very much kind of pop-up atmosphere burlesque. So it's an act every like 20 to 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And there's no MC, you just, the music starts playing and you just go into your routine. So there's nobody telling them the rules. And people, I would say normally, like 99% of the time, are pretty good about just being respectful and being chill. But
Yeah.
you get sometimes that, especially for brunch, people get drunk at brunch. Sometimes people get unreasonable.
Too
but
many mimosas
not
might
usually.
get you a little handsy.
Yeah.
So, and actually, so we were talking about these pop-up shows. Can you tell me, like, and describe the most unexpected or weird location that you have ever performed in?
Location. Okay, so I think this was maybe the first. No, not the first. This was one of the first private events I ever performed for, and it was at this crazy, like ridiculously beautiful, fancy mansion in Palm Beach, and it was a Halloween party, and I was doing a grinder performance, and they didn't tell me that the stage was like a clear, like plexiglass platform that was like a temporary stage that they built over the pool. So I was literally standing on like slippery clear plastic that was above the swimming pool, and I'm holding a very dangerous power tool and I'm shooting sparks. And I did the gig. I really shouldn't have.
Right.
Like that was something that in hindsight I should have set strong boundaries about, because that's really dangerous. You know, if I fell into the pool with this power tool that's plugged in, I don't know if I'm going to get electrocuted.
Right.
Like I don't know if it also, this platform is slippery, there's water. I'm holding this extremely dangerous spinning blade right next to my exposed skin. If I slip, I'm going to cut into my, like, it's dangerous. So that was like, that was a weird one. Maybe that was a darker story than
No,
you
I mean,
wanted for that.
it's good to know. And if people are listening that want to try to hire performers, you need to make sure you properly articulate to the performer where their performance space is going to be, and like any of, especially if you're doing something as intricate and as dangerous as a grinder act. And for those of you who don't know what a grinder act is, can you explain how that works?
Sure. So it's a angle grinder, which is a common power tool that anybody will have. If you're a welder or any kind of machinist, you probably have used an angle grinder. And I wear a belt or a harness that has a metal plate that's kind of like right over my crotch, and I just grind the grinder into that plate so it shoots sparks. So it looks like I'm shooting sparks out of my vagina. It's great.
We love it. We love your vagina does many things, as we're learning today. All right, so let's.
Yeah, it sweats and it sparks.
That's your new tagline. The sweaty and sparkly coochie. All right.
Don't call me that next time you. No. I'm vetoing that tagline.
All right, fine. We can keep your existing one. Is the last I checked, last I remembered, is it still the scientist line? as your tagline?
The scientist of sexy is kind of my OG tagline. Patrick Smash gave me that tagline like 8 or 9 years ago.
Nice.
I have a couple of new ones. I also use the pansexual pussycat.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes Alistair Graves will intro me with a little, you might say she worked her ass off to bring this show together, but she's about to come out here and prove you that that's not the case, or something like that.
Sure.
He's the MC, I'm not the MC.
With Alistair can introduce me any fucking way he wants, and I will.
He's one of those MCs who I'm just like, say whatever the fuck you want. I book him all the time, and I never tell him what to do.
You know that, and honestly, same. And I actually just worked with him a few nights ago, at the graveyard over in at Spookeasy in Ybor City. And I don't even submit my bio to him anymore. He knows my bio better than I do. So I'm like, fuck it, you can say whatever you want about me, and I don't give a shit. And it's usually something super flattering. So I'm like, I'm not going to coach you into whatever you want to say. Just fucking do it. So it's great to work with MCs that we can trust.
I trust that guy. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. All right. And now, since we talked about a grinder and all of that, and I kind of want to dig a little bit more into this, what is another weird or weirdest item that you have ever used in an act as an accessory?
Oh, I used a whole bunch of dildos in an act a couple months ago. Actually, it was in Tampa. It was at Show Bar for Tiger Lily. It was so I did this. The show theme was like a love. It was like love hurts or something. It was all about love and like the ups and downs of love and the craziness of love. And I had submitted Grinder, and she, the showrunner, Miss Tiger Lily, was like, "Can you do something a little bit more theatrical and storytelling, or maybe make a joke into it or something?" And I was like, what can I do? So I did this act that was all about masturbation. And I basically come out on stage, I'm in like a little robe, and I sort of twirl around, and I'm just getting ready to have a nice little evening of self-love. And I open up this little box, and I pull out a dildo, and it starts buzzing, and then it just like freaks out and goes wrong, and I have to throw it away. And the same thing happens a couple more times, and then it escalates, and eventually I'm grinding, and that's the finale.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I think there was 3 dildos in that act.
3 dildos. That is, I mean, hey, you can never have too many of those. That's awesome. I love it. Now, do you remember seeing like the facial expressions and what the audience thought about it? Like, could you?
Oh yeah. When people see a dildo when they don't expect to, they make a good face.
I think that's the case no matter what. If somebody walked into my living room and saw a dildo, they'd probably have the same expression, like, why is that here? But I'll go with it.
Oh my God, I have a funny story for you. Okay,
tell me.
So a couple, like maybe last week or the week before, there was actually a fire in my apartment building.
Oh, wow.
The unit right next to mine caught fire. And I didn't know what was going on. I started to smell the fire, and I came outside, and the door right next to mine was just, there was a bunch of firefighters putting out a fire. And I was like, oh, okay. So they had to come into my place and like make sure it was safe. And they caught me completely off guard. I was doing a bunch of desk work that day. I had not showered yet that day. My hair was a mess. I was wearing like a sweaty t-shirt and sweatpants, and I probably smelled bad. I did not look good. And like I walked outside, and like, you know, these firefighters were not giving me a second look. Not that I expected them to or anything, but it was like totally, I was not getting any male attention that day. They went into my apartment to make sure it was safe, and then they came back out, and then I started to feel like I could feel eyes on me. I was like, I think they're like checking me out. This is weird. And then I went back into my apartment once they said it was safe, and I looked around, and I was like, oh, it could not be more obvious that an OnlyFans slut lives here. Like, there's dildos just on the dresser. There's a bunch of video equipment. There's lighting on stands set up all around my bed. There's like cameras. I'm like, oh, and I have a stripper pole in my bedroom too. So I'm just like, oh, that's why they're looking at me, because they first saw me and then they saw that and they said, this chick, really?
And that's when you hand out business cards with QR codes leading to your OnlyFans, and you get a bunch of firefighter subscriptions. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder if they got back into the truck afterwards and they went, did you see? And they went, yeah. And they're like, was it? Yeah. Like, they didn't even have to probably communicate it. They all knew. Hell yeah. I mean,
but you know what? I bet I underestimate how much they see. You know, you're going into somebody's house unexpected, catching them off guard. They don't have a moment to like put things away. I bet you they see a lot of dildos.
Oh, I'm sure they do. They may be desensitized to it, like doctors are desensitized to seeing, you know, bones popping out of fucking legs and shit. Like, that's not something that they really give much of a shit about. They're just going in to make sure you're not on fire.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. I mean, you just never know what you might walk into. Well, I'm glad that your place didn't burn down. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Me too.
we've had actually there was a few nights ago we had a friend over and I was giving her a tour of our place. And I remembered in my office, I don't know if you ever got one of these during the days we used to do the podcast, but we had a sponsor
Oh,
that
sorry. I lost the last like 10 seconds of what you said. You froze for a
all
minute.
good. I was saying a few days ago, I had a friend over and we were walking through the house, and I was showing them around. It was the first time they had seen my new house, and I went into my office and I forgot that I actually have this little game in the house that we hide dildos around the house, but because we have some that are like artsy. And I don't know if you remember back in the Slings days or if you ever got one of these, but we had a sponsor that made ceramic dildos. And
Oh, I don't. No, I don't think I was aware of that.
okay, I have some
That's
extras, so
interesting.
one day you can have it as an art piece. But I have it in my office, and it's on a shelf in my office. And I walked in, and I saw them just looking, and like, oh, this is a cool office. Okay, and then they just they look past. I'm like, yes, that is a ceramic dildo that has the logo for the old podcast that we used to have on it. So yeah, people and
Amazing.
we love to hide little things around the house just for people to find. So that's great. We're similar in that regard. You never know if somebody walks in what they're gonna see. All
Yeah.
right. I want to double back now. Do you have an idea what you think of that Olympics question? If it had its own, what would your move be and what would you win?
Oh man. Okay. So I have been in the past well known for playing really weird characters on stage, and two of my best known and like most booked acts have been my Radagast the Brown from The Hobbit and my Edward Scissorhands act.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those are very hairy men. In the Edward Scissorhands act, I have a gag where I have like pubes kind of overflowing out of my underwear, and I trim them with my scissor hands. And for the Radagast act, if you're not familiar with the character, he is a weird old wizard who lives in the woods, and he has a bunch of birds living inside of his hat. So there's like bird poop all over his head. And when I do my reveal, I have a merkin that's like a nest of pubes and bird poop. And so I guess I maybe would be the master of some kind of being a weird hairy man on stage
We're
competition.
gonna fight because that's been my
But
title for
also, but I
years.
don't. But it's not drag. I still have tits, and I'm not doing it as a male character. Really,
Sure.
I don't know, some kind of gender fuckery. But that's not unique to me either. So that's
Well, I mean, honest,
I
because
don't
I've
know.
seen the photos, I've seen the videos, and I've seen those acts. Trust me, I can vouch for you on that. You'd get the gold medal there. That is awesome. And okay, this is one more burlesque question that I'm going to just ask you. If burlesque performances or your performances in general came with a warning label, what would it say about you?
The warning label about my show would hmm
We're going deep today.
maybe something about surprising yourself
Mm-hmm.
and your expectations.
Okay, that's good.
I think I really like to show people, especially if you're just kind of like a random normie off the street, I like to show people something that they might not expect that burlesque would be.
Good.
Whether that's a kind of person that you wouldn't expect to see confidently stripping, or whether it's a gender that you're not expecting to see, or something. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, but I wouldn't want to warn them about it. But if there was a warning label, it might be, you might be surprised by what you're about to be turned on by.
There it is. Okay, I like that. Yeah, cool. You be popping mysterious boners in this, and maybe you'll leave liking something more than you thought you would. That's good.
Exactly.
All right.
You might unlock a new kink within yourself.
Perfect. If you like merkins and sweaty pussies, we've got it for you. All right. So now, sorry, that's the theme. Sorry, it's just on my mind. All right. So now,
episode title? Do you do a snappy episode title?
I should. It's the sweaty pussy episode today.
Oh God.
And they'll be like, "Oh, who else but Ruby Tesla?" All right.
Hey.
So now I'm going to do a couple rapid fire normal questions that I want to go through with you. This is more, when I say normal, this is more like vanilla life or just you in general. So okay, we're just going to do a couple of these. What is the biggest risk that you've ever taken in your life?
I'm a pretty risk averse person.
Yeah.
In general, I mostly play things safe, but I guess the most risky thing I've ever done is get into like sex work.
Mm-hmm.
Being professionally naked on the internet, because that does close career doors for you, and it invites judgment. And I I dived into that world when I was like 20,
Mm-hmm.
so that might be the riskiest thing I've ever done, but it's definitely been the right choice for me. It's really paid off.
Right. I mean, if you're confident in it and it's something that you are doing willingly, I know that there's that common misconception that people have about sex work in general is that you're doing it against your will, and it might be potentially predatory, or it's exploitation of yourself. Like, I know
And
you very
sometimes it
well.
is. If
Yeah.
you're in that kind of situation, that really sucks. Consent is extremely important. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because I know you, and I know you are a no bullshit kind of person. So whenever I have people that want to get into the business, I kind of, I would even reference them to you and be like, if you want to hear from somebody who does it and does it professionally and that sort of thing, this is the person to talk to. So I'm glad that you took a
Aw.
risk and turned it into something that was, obviously positive for you, and you're able to make a living on it. So that's great.
Yeah.
What is something that you've always wanted to do, but maybe haven't had either the courage or the resources or time to do it?
Learn to ride a unicycle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I bought a unicycle like a long time ago, and it's in the closet that's right behind me, and I still don't know how to ride it. I would really like to.
Okay. So we will get you on a unicycle for a show at some point soon. That would
I
be
would love. Yeah. My dream is to do a striptease act where I'm on the unicycle the entire time, and I'm just kind of cycling around and taking it off.
that. Let me know when you're ready. We'll book it. We'll find a show. I promise. We'll have a show for that.
Okay.
All right. And now we're gonna move on because we're getting a little bit close on time. But because there's another big thing that we want to talk about during this show, and I know you wanted to drop this announcement here as well. So take it away.
Yeah, so one of my many hustles that I'm working on right now is I am launching a line of apparel, and it is called Papa Vixen Apparel. That's PAPA Vixen Apparel. And it's a line of loungewear, gym wear, comfy clothes to wear backstage in the dressing room. It's really geared towards strippers, sex workers, porn stars, drag queens, all manner of creatures of the night. It's all sex positive, queer positive, um, just fun clothes to wear. So yeah, if that's something that seems like you might be into, then check it out. You can go to papavixen.com.
I love it, and I'm actually on there right now. And you sent me this link last week. Take a look at them, and I, when I looked, I was like, all right, I want this one. I want this one. There's a shirt here that says "So fucking gay," which actually, funny enough, I'm performing at Pride here in St. Pete, and I was thinking about getting that one to wear during my performance on stage. And there's a crop top here that Taryn wants. I think actually Taryn was interested in that same one, but the crop top version of it. The pussy crop top is hilarious, which I absolutely want that too. So
The pussy shirt is like my favorite, and I feel like I've shown a few people the preview because it's not actually live yet. It should be live tomorrow by the time this episode airs.
right.
But hopefully it's if it's not, just check back because maybe I don't get to it. But it should be live by the time this airs. But yeah, I've shown a few people, and like the pussy shirt has been less popular than I
Oh really?
hoped/expected. So I'm really glad that you like it.
Oh yeah,
I really like
we're
it.
big fans, and I know Taryn and I are both gonna get one when it goes live. But that is so
I'm
great.
probably gonna wear that to Exotica, and the Ask Me About My OnlyFans one, and the Shadow Band one. Yeah, there's a few.
It's so great.
Yeah,
I love that my mom said I could be anything, so I became art. That's great, and I think I'm gonna push that out there as well because I'm sure people would.
I love that one too.
Especially people in our business. I mean, come on, that's great. So yeah, head on over to papavixen.com, and hopefully by the time this airs, it will be up available. But if it's not, you can sign up for updates. You can also follow Ruby Tesla and get information on when that does and when new offerings come out, because I'm sure you probably have more ideas in the can for more pieces coming up.
Definitely. I have a solid little collection to start with, to launch with, but there will certainly be more in the future. And yeah, the best way to look for updates is just to follow Ruby_Tesla. I haven't made an Instagram for Papa Vixen yet. I should do that today.
There it is. Well,
but it'll probably just be at Papa Vixen.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah.
and while we're talking about this now, so if for our folks who want to follow you and become a part of your world, how can they do that?
Yeah, so Instagram is probably the best or easiest. It's the username is Ruby_Tesla. I'm so shadow banned. You have to type in the entire thing, otherwise it won't come up. And even if you do type in the whole thing, it's like the 7th or 8th result. So yeah, just Ruby RUBY_Tesla TESLA. You can also go to rubytesla.com for a list of all my upcoming show dates and links to all my socials. And if you want to go to the OnlyFans, I have two OnlyFans. I have a free one and I have a paid one. The free one is really easy to find. You just type in rubyteslafree.com, takes you right there. There's a link to the paid one on that site, but if you don't want to go that route, you want to just go straight there, onlyfans.com/rubytesla. And I'm posting at least once a day. Most days I'm posting multiple times a day. I send out videos a couple times a week. So hopefully there's something for you there.
Hell yeah, phenomenal. Well, I appreciate you being here. I'm so excited for your upcoming ventures. Like I said, I just threw your show on my calendar because Taryn and I will absolutely be there to come and support you. And obviously, anytime you're in
Thank you.
town, it's always great to see you.
Well, yeah, you too.
Of course, and we'll definitely get you back on the show. I want to do a roundtable soon with burlesque producers and folks that do this sort of thing. I think that'd be really good for folks to hear how all of us talk and how all of us do these things. I've had some other producers reach out to me for something like that. But anytime, obviously, you have any classes or things that you want to promote, you can obviously always tag me, and I'll share it. So yeah, go follow Ruby Tesla across the board. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite performers, great friend. I appreciate you being here, and we'll definitely be talking with you soon.
Thank you so much, Nathan. I had a great time being here. It was really awesome to see you.
It was awesome to see you as well, and let's not let so much time lapse in between next time we get to hang out. All right, well, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of The Burly Nathan Show. I can't wait for episode 13. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to help support our show. Leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts, and don't forget, head over to adamandeve.com and use promo code BURLY, BURLY, at checkout, and you'll get some awesome free gifts, free shipping, and 50% off any item on the online store. Thank you all so much for listening and being fans of The Burly Nathan Show. Another great way you can help support us is by telling your friends about the show. So if you like what you listen to, make a comment, share, whatever, send it to people who you think will enjoy it. So with that, I say goodbye and thank you so much once again for listening to The Burly Nathan Show.